Hello everybody, today we're going to talk about section 2 of the TOEFL test. So this section is structure and written expression, or the grammar section of the TOEFL. These are the topics we'll cover in this video. So starting with an introduction, the purpose of this section is to test your knowledge of the structure of standard written English. It's not conversational English, the topics are of a general academic nature. So yeah, the language in this section is mostly formal. The section consists of 40 questions, some tests may be longer, and you have 25 minutes to answer all of the questions. We have two parts in this section. The structure part has 15 questions, the written expression has 25 questions. In the structure part, you have to choose the correct sentence completion, and in the written expression part, you have to choose the incorrect sentence segments. I'm going to show you some examples. So here's an example of the structure part. You have a blank and you have 4 options. The 4 options are correct by themselves, but only one is correct in terms of this sentence. When you put it in this sentence, only one will be correct. And then in the other part, you have 4 underlined segments, and you have to choose which segment is incorrect. You have to be able to analyze the sentences and to know why they are correct or why they are incorrect. Here we have some general strategies for this section. Number 1, be familiar with the directions. Directions are the same, so it's not necessary to spend time reading directions carefully. You should be completely familiar before you take the test, okay? And in this way you can move immediately to the first question and just begin working. The second tip is use your time wisely. So the first 5 questions in each section will be the easiest and the last 5 will be the most difficult. Yeah, so this means questions 1 through 5 will be the easiest and 11 through 15 will be the most difficult. In the other part, questions 16 through 20 will be the easiest and 36 through 40 will be the most difficult. If you know this, you can anticipate it and then you won't spend too much time on the easy questions. You have to spend more time on the most difficult questions, right? And tip number 3 is guess to complete the section before time is up. So in case you don't have time to complete the section, then just guess and don't leave any answers blank. So starting with the first topic about articles, these are the articles in English: a or an, the, and sometimes we have no article. So what is the difference between a and the? A car, the car. So un carro, el carro, specifically el carro. And a car, un carro puede ser cualquiera, right? So this is specific, this is non-specific. And what is the difference between a and an? Maybe you know this. We use a for consonants and for vowels, okay? And we don't use an article when we're talking about something in general. So let's go over this. So to start, when we have a singular noun, a noun can be an animal, a person, a name, a place. In Spanish, these are sustantivos, okay? And they can be anything. So singular nouns always need an article. It can be a or an, it can be the, or it can be any other determiner like my, your, this, that. So if I say this is dog, this is incorrect. This is dog. Why? Because we have a singular noun and we don't have anything before. So we need an article. For example, this is a dog, this is the dog, or we can use a determiner. This is my dog. So as I told you before, maybe you know that the difference between a and an is we use a for consonants and an followed by a vowel. So a table, a box, we have consonant T, consonant B, and an for vowel, an orange, an egg, so vowel O, vowel E. But you have to be careful because you will see. Do we say a umbrella or an umbrella? An umbrella because of the vowel, right? But what happens with university? A university, an university. So we say a university. But notice how the sound is completely different. university, umbrella. A hat or an hat? A hat, right? It's a consonant. Hour, a hour, an hour. We say an hour. Again, it's a consonant letter, but notice how the sound is completely different. Hat, hour. So you have to be careful, especially with these two letters, because they have different sounds. Sometimes U is pronounced umbrella, a vowel, and we say an umbrella, but sometimes it is pronounced university. So here it's a consonant sound, and you have to say a university. H is also a problematic letter. Sometimes it is silent, okay? So an hour, we do not pronounce the H, hour. So it's a silent H, it has a vowel sound, we use an hour. And here it has a consonant sound, hat. It's not silent, we pronounce this hat. So here we use a hat, okay? So it's not about the letter, but it's about the sound. Now let's see these examples. I have an exam tomorrow. I will be happy when the exam is over. I hate exams. So here we use an exam because you're talking about this for the first time. Yes, voy a tener un examen mañana. So this is the first time you tell me this. I do not have any idea of what exam you're taking. And then, I will be happy when the exam is over. El examen. Ya sé de cuál me estás hablando. Ya me dijiste que vas a hacer un examen. Right? So now it's specific. And here, I hate exams. We don't need an article. Why? Because it's exams in general. O sea, odio los exámenes en general, right? So, when you talk about something for the first time, or when it's not specific, you use a or an. Always before singular nouns. Why? Because a means one. Yes, a car, one car. So you cannot say one cars, right? You cannot say a cars. It's only for singular. The can be for singular or plural, but it's when you are talking about something specific, like the exam. Como ya me contaste de que vas a hacer el examen, ya es específico. So we use the. And finally, we don't use an article when we talk about things in general. So I'm going to show you another example. Amy and Will are having a party on Friday. Yes, ellos van a tener una fiesta. We'd love to come to the party. Now it's specific because now I know about the party. Yes. And finally, I love parties. Nothing. I love parties in general. Yes. Me encantan las fiestas en general. So we don't need an article. It's not specifically, okay? So how do you use this in the TOEFL test? Well, here's an example. Patricia is taking a very difficult classes this semester. What's wrong with this sentence? So we have an article, a, which refers to something singular, and we have a classes. You see? Patricia is taking a very difficult classes. Una clases muy difícil. So it doesn't agree. O sea que no hay concordancia. Singular, plural. So here, the answer is letter C. And how do we correct it? We put class. Patricia is taking a very difficult class this semester. So now singular and singular. Another example. The mongoose is a very clever creature that catches snakes. What's wrong with this sentence? So look, we're talking about creature, singular, and we don't have an article before, you see? So we need an article. An article is missing. So here the correct answer is B. And how do we correct it? The mongoose is a very clever creature. We have here a, okay? Remember, if it's singular, you always need an article. Another example. A sun was shining brightly when we arrived at the lake. What's wrong with this sentence? Well, the problem is an incorrect article has been used. So the correct answer is letter A, and the correction is the sun. Why? Because sun is specific, right? El sol, ya sabemos de cuál estamos hablando, so specific. And here we have another one. Peter is looking for a university where he can play basketball. What's wrong with this sentence? So I know you know this. The problem is that the indefinite article is spelled incorrectly. We're using the incorrect article because of the sound. Remember, university, consonant sound. So the answer is letter C, and the correction, a university, instead of an, okay? So this is why the sounds thing that I told you is important. Okay, now let's talk about verb tense forms. These are the principal parts of some English verbs. We have the base form, o sea, el verbo sin conjugar, start, hope, study, eat, give, have, be. Then we have it in present. It can be start or starts. If we say she starts, I start. I hope, he hopes. We study, she studies, right? So, and then we have the present participle, which is the ing form of the verb. Starting, hoping, studying, eating. We have the past. It can be regular, started, hoped, studied, or it can be irregular, ate, gave, had. We also have the past participle, started, hoped. In the regulars it's the same, but in the irregulars it changes. Eaten, given, had, right? So look at this example. The professor wrote the answers on the blackboard so everyone could see them. What's wrong with this sentence? The past form of an irregular verb. So write is not regular. We say write, wrote, written, right? So the correct answer is letter A, and the correction, wrote. The professor wrote the answers. So write it, this doesn't exist. For this reason, it's important that you know and you practice with the irregular verbs especially. And I will leave you an appendix with a list of irregular verbs so that you can practice, okay? And be familiar with them. So first rule, after have, use past participle. Okay, when we use have as an auxiliary, whenever you see the helping verb as an auxiliary, have in any of its forms, have or has or having or had, just make sure that the verb that follows is in the past participle form. Remember, past participle was the third column, like it ate, eaten. That is a past participle. So here the problem, they had walked to school. We have had as an auxiliary verb, but this is not in past participle. How do we correct it? They had walked to school. We have see the show. This is not past participle. We have seen the show. Having ate, comma, he went to school. Having eaten, he went to school. She should have did the work. Again, después de have tenemos que tener un past participle. She should have done the work. Also, if you have a subject and a past participle, make sure you have the verb have. O sea, aquí tenemos my friend sung in the choir. Este es un past participle, pero no podemos tenerlo ahí solo. Necesitamos que tenga su auxiliar, right? So, how do we correct it? My friend sang in the choir, o sea, hacerlo en pasado para que ya no sea past participle, para que ya no necesite el auxiliar, o ponerle el auxiliar. My friend has sung in the choir. He became angry at his friend. Igual, podemos ponerlo en pasado, he became angry at his friend, or agregarle el auxiliary, he has become angry at his friend. The boat sunk in the ocean. In past, the boat sank in the ocean, or the boat has sunk in the ocean, right? O sea, el bote se hundió en pasado, o el bote se ha hundido, right? So, Here's an exercise from the TOEFL test. David has eaten in this restaurant several times. What is wrong with this sentence? Dijimos que después de has necesitamos que esté en past participle, right? So, the problem is the verb form following has, que no está en past participle. So, correct answer is letter A, and the correction is has eaten. Next we have, after verb to be, use present participle. Dijimos que son los que terminan en ing or past participle. Okay, so the verb be in any of its forms, is, was, were, be, been, being, can be followed by another verb. Cuando está acompañado de otro verbo, el verbo que le acompaña tiene que estar en past participle o en present participle. So here we have we are do homework. Tenemos verbo to be y luego tenemos otro verbo. Pero este verbo está incorrecto porque ni está con ing ni está en past participle. ¿Cómo lo corregimos? We are doing homework. The homework was due early. So we correct it. The homework was done early. Tom is take the book. Tom is taking the book. The book was taken by Tom. The book was taken. So you see, after verb to be, we need present participle, los que terminan en ing, o necesitamos un past participle. Do, did, done. Take, took, taken. So here's the exercise. The Peace Corps was established on March 1st, 1961 by then President John F. Kennedy. So we have was, aquí está verb to be. Y dijimos que después tiene que tener ing o past participle. Y aquí no tiene ninguna. So the correct answer is letter C. And the correction was established. Past participle. Now we're going to talk about the verb tense meaning. So the tense meanings. Each different tense form in English has a different meaning. The chart below summarizes these verb tense meanings. So you can read this chart here. We use simple present for a situation that exists now. We use past for a situation that began and ended. Right? So these are all the uses for the tenses. I will show you an example of two different tenses. Here we have present perfect. They have been married for 15 years. And here we have simple past. They were married for 15 years. Solo con cambiar el tense o el tiempo gramatical del verbo, ya cambió completamente el significado. Porque si digo they have been married, ellos han estado casados, it means they are married now. O sea, ellos siguen casados. And if I say they were married for 15 years, ellos estuvieron casados, but now maybe they got a divorce, right? So they are not married right now. Entonces, esto cambia completamente el significado, okay? The meaning of a tense used in an English sentence must agree with the time meaning of the rest of the sentence. The time meaning of a sentence is often determined by words or expressions that act as time markers. Los time markers nos van a ayudar a saber cuál tense necesitamos. Algunos time markers son today, yesterday. Si tenemos today, sabemos que necesitamos hablar en presente. Si tenemos yesterday, sabemos que necesitamos hablar en pasado, right? So here's a chart of common time markers used on the TOEFL. For example, since is often used with perfect tenses. So here's the exercise. In 1992, Bill Clinton has become President of the United States, beating his opponent by a wide margin. What is wrong with this sentence? Primero hay que encontrar el time marker, algo que nos indique el tiempo. Y aquí tenemos in 1992. Significa que estamos hablando en pasado de algo que ya terminó. And what's the problem here? We have an incorrect tense. So there is no agreement between the time marker and the verb. No hay concordancia entre estos dos. So the correct answer is letter A, and the correction is became. Para saber que algo ya terminó, en pasado. In 1992, Bill Clinton became president. Okay? Another example, since the 1960s, rock and roll music became more popular with young people than any other music form. Look at the time marker. Nuestro time marker aquí es since, okay? And the problem is that we use since with the perfect tenses, and here we don't have a perfect tense. So there's no agreement again. The correct answer is letter A, and the correction is has become. Since the 1960s, rock and roll has become more popular. Okay? The last topic for today is adjectives that end in ed and adjectives that end in ing. Verb forms ending in ed and ing can be used as adjectives. For example, the verbal adjectives cleaned and cleaning come from the verb to clean. Aquí lo tenemos como verbo, the woman cleans the car. La mujer limpia el carro. But we can use it as an adjective if we put ing or ed. The cleaning woman worked on the car. Es un adjetivo porque nos describe a quién? A la mujer. The woman put the cleaned car back in the garage. Es un adjetivo que nos describe a quién? Pues al carro, right? So what is the difference between these two? Cleaning and cleaned. Do you see any difference? So, the cleaning woman, ¿ella está haciendo la acción de limpiar o está recibiendo esa acción? Pues ella la está haciendo, right? Y acá, the woman put the cleaned car, el carro, ¿está haciendo la acción de limpiar o la está recibiendo? Pues la está recibiendo, right? So, we use the ing when it does the action of the verb. The playing children, los niños están haciendo la acción de jugar, right? And we use ed when it receives the action of the verb. The played record. El disco está recibiendo la acción de ser tocado, right? He is bored. The books are boring. Los libros hacen la acción de aburrirlo y él recibe la acción, right? So, en español el problema es que decimos, estos libros son aburridos, él está aburrido. Entonces aquí decimos son aburridos porque lo hacen, y aquí decimos está aburrido porque recibe la acción. But both are aburrido, bored and boring. Now here you can see the difference. The students are confused, the homework is confusing. Aquí sí lo decimos diferente. La tarea es confusa porque provoca esa acción. Los estudiantes están confundidos, ellos reciben eso, ¿ok? Podríamos pensar entonces que los que terminan en ed son para personas, right? Confused, the students, he's bored, y que los que son con ing son para cosas. The books are boring and the homework is confusing. Pero esto no es cierto. Mejor hay que fijarnos en si hace la acción o si la recibe. So I'll show you another example. The printing press was invented long ago. Printed books are now widely available. So printing press está haciendo la acción de imprimir, right? And here, printed books son libros impresos, right? So that is the difference. I'm going to show you the TOEFL example, the exercise, sorry. Even though the parking car was locked, someone was able to steal the tape player from inside. So look at the adjective for car. ¿El carro está haciendo la acción de estacionar o está siendo estacionado? La recibe, right? So the correct answer is letter B and the correction is parked. Even though the parked car was locked, okay? So the wrong participle form has been used y en vez de ing debe ser con ed. Easy peasy, right? Super sencillo. So here are the references. These are the books I'm using for this video and for these exercises. And I'll see you in the next one.